Alrighty, so good morning once again, everybody. If you can hear this, see the screen, hear the audio okay, please go ahead and confirm in the GoToWebinar control panel. I want to welcome everyone back from a nice long holiday. Looks like quite a few people are still out on vacation, but for those that are already back, business as usual. Type that in the GoToWebinar control panel. I'll touch base here with Bill, see if there's any urgent questions that had come his way. How's it going on your end there, Bill?
Hey Gil, it's going fine, man. It's going fine.
Nice.
Had a great 4th of July weekend. You know, my condo is high in the air and it's right at the level of all the fireworks. So it was a fantastic fireworks display. It's like sitting in the air and watching them at eye level. So it was awesome, man. Especially the grand finale lasted about 15 or 20 seconds, and it was absolutely spectacular.
Very nice, very nice. Were the phones ringing off the hook from some of your marketing and bandit signs recently? I know it was pretty slow here on our end, so no alarm for those of you that didn't get any calls or it was a little bit quite low. I know we are timing it with our direct mail as well, where the direct mail, if we are sending any of your marketing materials, they're supposed to be sent this week. We did not want it to land on the very same weekend or have to compete with the 4th of July marketing and advertising. So any marketing popping in on your end, Bill?
No, it's really kind of slow. This is a small town. 4th of July is a big family weekend and people are away or doing other things. So we decided not to pop any marketing, to have it, hit over the weekend. So everything's probably hitting next week. So same with the students that I'm working with. We got one property tied up and one pending that we'll probably get this week. So we started marketing for buyers on one of them, and we're supposed to sign the other one up this week. So we'll start our marketing program for buyers this particular week on those. So anyway, that's kind of the way it's going. We found a couple of pockets of a really good place. I think I mentioned this before. If you're in a smaller market and you have a local newspaper that everybody reads, be sure to make arrangements to put an ad in that paper. We buy houses, and also, advertise your properties that you have tied up either on a wholesale or on a rent-own basis. Because in some markets, in some of the smaller markets, those local newspapers, have almost 100% readership. In fact, what I suggested that she do is even look into the possibility of either having a flyer inserted inside the paper, because again, it's a small paper, or getting a post-it note and have it attached to the front of the paper just beneath the headline, so that everybody that gets the paper sees that. And I think that would be a really good tool, in order to be able to draw in a lot of we buy houses, properties. So in your smaller markets, you can do some unique marketing that wouldn't necessarily probably be profitable or productive in a big market. But in a small market where you've got the kind of readership that you used to have for newspapers, it still exists, then it's a great tool. Back to you.
Nice. Looks like Maria just got her order of bandit signs. They had just come in. Very nice. And any pointers would be great. Well, just a couple of things that we normally share or have talked about in the past when it comes to bandit signs. Some markets are very receptive and open to bandit signs. They can generate leads consistently. Like any marketing or lead source, you really do have to test it out. Budget about anywhere from 3 to 6 months of consistent marketing in that area so that you can give enough time for the marketing campaign to gain some traction, to convert, and to reach or target that particular motivated seller, especially if you're leaning more towards the bootstrapping side of things, right? If you do have a more aggressive marketing budget, then you can go for the speedy results, since you're going in volume and you can target a larger sample size or audience at the same time. So with bandit signs, definitely place them in the high traffic areas. I know these haven't changed over the last couple years. We're seeing some good success and hear good feedback from those that are placing it in the Walmart, the Best Buy, the cash for payday advanced loans, car title loans. You want to get it in these particular areas because it's high traffic. So even if you don't target the exact motivated seller, you can kind of build it off or create a nice little system or referral system in that particular area, because you're going to get calls from people that are curious about the strategy or they've heard about it and they want to get into real estate. So you're going to get all sorts of calls, including people that would be interested in sourcing deals for you or sending deals your way. Any changes to your bandit sign marketing that you guys have been doing lately, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, the key is to survey the area, and don't just arbitrarily stick them out there. Look at the traffic flows and things like that, and decide which is the best spots to put them at where you're going to get the maximum response, and also where they're easy to put out, and if you have to take them down, easy to get. Like, for instance, on a lot of the corners we put them at, rather than run across the street and get killed, we actually drive into the, if there's a gas station, we drive into the parking lot of the gas station, park there, and put them out. And same with the hamburger places on the corner or whatever particular places on the corner. Be aware of what your local code enforcement laws are and how aggressive they are. If they're extremely aggressive and they're issuing fines and citations, then you may need to put them out on a Friday night and pick them up early Monday morning or late Sunday night. And if you're going to do that, you're better served to put them out in the low traffic times, very early in the morning or late at night after the traffic has diminished. Because if you do have to go across the streets, you don't want to be dealing with, rush hour traffic. As far as putting them at the grocery stores and the various places like that, the best spot to put them at is at the exits. And what I like to do is, like in the Walmart, the big Walmart stores here, I sat and watched the traffic flow out of the Walmart parking lot and realized putting them at two of the exits was a complete waste of time, because nobody used those exits because you couldn't get out because of the traffic. But they did use the other two. So I saved a couple of signs and put them at the other ends where the majority of traffic went out, probably 95% of it, just by observing the traffic flow for just a few minutes. Because what you're going to try to do is maximize your dollars and put them out in the areas where they're going to give you the most results. And also, it makes a big difference on what you say. So, I mean, we didn't mention that, but the ones we've had the best results with, like, we buy houses cash, or we buy houses, any condition, any area, fast cash, and then your phone number. And remember now, and here's a real key, Gil, I can't tell you how many times I've seen this mistake, is these people make up these handwritten signs, and but you can't read them. I mean, if you were walking by, you couldn't read them, let alone driving by at 30 miles an hour. So make sure, if you're going to handwrite these signs or you're getting them pre-printed, make sure you can read the things going by at 30 miles, 35 miles an hour, so that you can see what it is. We buy houses cash, and the phone number. Those are the two most important things to make sure that people can read. I mean, I literally just this weekend, somebody had a "We Buy a Houses" sign, Gil, and the writing was so small, I had to park the car and walk up and almost put my nose on the sign to be able to see what it said. I thought it was a "We Buy Houses," but I wasn't sure. Now, the other thing is there are certain kind of signs, like, for instance, some people use signs with a white background and black letters. You can't see those doggone things. Even when you walk up on them. So we always use yellow coroplast signs, a yellow background with black lettering. That's the easiest and most productive signs that we found. Well, if you're going to be using We Buy Houses signs, or whether you're trying to market one of your rent-to-own properties, whatever it is, people have got to be able to read the signs, and otherwise you're not going to get any calls. How do we know that? Because I started out just writing them in small lettering, and I got no calls, and then somebody suggested that I make the lettering large and bold it, and as soon as I did that, I started getting a whole bunch of calls. Back to you.
Yeah. Phone number or no phone? I definitely recommend you put you place a phone number on there instead of a website. And I mean, if I were to choose between the two, phone number or website, I'd go with a phone number. It's a direct response. They call right away, and that's what I mean, if they go to a website, they have to have a smartphone, and unless they're a passenger in the vehicle, you're talking. I mean, that's a tough way to try to capture their information, and might not necessarily be the smartest way to go about things. I think you'll see better success with an online pay-per-click campaign that's set up correctly. So also with the bandit signs, if you don't activate your who is guard, or if you if your information is personal info has been entered when you bought the domain name, then that's going to be a little bit tricky too, because now you'll have companies that all they do is copy, paste, and scrape data on these domains, and they'll start to market you. And so depending on what info you got there, you might start receiving some marketing with regards to websites, domain hosting, and all that good stuff. So definitely look out for that.
Yeah, Gil, a couple other things is, number one, there's security reasons there as well. I mean, if you're, a single woman and you're giving out that kind of information to the general public, it's a security issue. That's number one. Number two, in my market and two of my students' markets, 30% of their market, does not have access to the internet. So if you've got it would be just like, taking 3 out of every 10 of your potential sellers and eliminating them from your system. So, you don't want to put a website on your We Buy Houses sign. You only want to put a phone number. If you want to do the website stuff, then do that on, in your ads and stuff like that, where they can go and look at a list of all your properties, and then make sure your domain name does not associate with your home address and your personal information. If it does, then get another domain, or reach it, or change the information, on your provider, to some sort of a business address or a PO box or something like that. Back to you.
Nice. And so it does work the same. Just make sure you don't ever use your personal info. That's why I always like to start with a UPS box or address. It's a business looking address, and that's our take on bandit signs. So not much really has changed. Just remember, some of those common errors that you want to avoid. If you are in an area where bandit signs are a big no-no, then don't force the issue. Find areas where the bandit signs are okay to post, because even in territories that say they have a zero tolerance on bandit signs, there are these areas that have been designated as marketing locations, and that's where you also find homeowners that would rent out their front yards, or businesses that would lease out window space or some marketing slots in their areas, since it's extremely limited. And again, there are people still need to advertise. It does work, so they will go that route. On Lilia here. Okay, so looking for a mortgage broker. When you're looking for a mortgage broker, Lilia, first, if you have a tenant buyer who's interested in moving forward on a deal, do you already have a property that they are interested in specifically, or this is just a good tenant buyer that is now in the system that that you need to find a property for? Go ahead and clarify, because if you're in the group coaching and you're calling on the leads that were sent to you, then the local acquisition person would already have a good credit repair or some good local contacts that the tenant buyer can start talking to. So you don't have to worry about that. So I want to make sure, just clarify, if you're in group coaching and we're partnering up with you on deals, then somebody can take that lead and move forward. Okay. do have the property. So if you're dealing with a mortgage broker, or you are looking to add a mortgage broker to the business, couple things. You want to deal with somebody that takes care of first-time home buyers, specifically those with credit challenges. Okay, so I would talk to local credit repair vendors first, since they tend to have existing relationships or know of brokers that they already do business with or refer people out to, right? Because those are the type of mortgage brokers you want to deal with. They have the patience for it. That's the type of clientele that they cater to, and they're not necessarily looking for the first-time home buyer with perfect credit. That's a slam dunk each and every time, right? Those, just like an agent who already has a good relationship with the bank, does not need listings because they get a ton of referrals directly from the bank, then that might not be the right broker to deal with. Trying to do deals locally where you don't have the managers. Okay, if I would focus on areas where you do have people you can outsource the deal to right away. If you're gonna piece them locally, yeah, it is going to be some work. So just setting some realistic expectations. Bill, mortgage broker, who do you look for? What are some initial conversations that you can throw out there so that you can test the waters with a good mortgage broker for rent to owns, lease options, or owner financing type deals?
Well, first of all, here's a good rule of thumb, Gil, for everybody. Is for you, me, Gil, me, everybody. Anytime you're talking to a realtor, a contractor, an appraiser, anybody in the mortgage broker, anybody in the real estate business, while you have them on the line, always ask them for the name of an appraiser. If you're talking to a mortgage broker, ask them for the name of an appraiser or a contractor or a realtor that they would recommend. And so, anytime you're talking to a realtor, ask them, if you had, do you deal, you ever deal with any first-time home buyers? And if they do, then they'll already know who all the top mortgage brokers in town are in your town, because they use those people all the time in order to be able to get their buyers qualified and go ahead and get their deals closed. So if you know realtors in town, that would be the first place to go. If you don't know anybody, you're just getting started, then the best thing to do would be to go ahead and Google all mortgage brokers in your area and start calling them. And I pick up the phone, call the mortgage broker office and say, hi, my name is Bill and I'm an investor here in town, and I work with a lot of first-time home buyers and people that I'm trying to get qualified in order to be able to buy our houses. Do you have anybody in your company there that specializes in working with first-time home buyers? And also, do you folks have an in-house credit repair system that you utilize, or do you have an outside vendor that you recommend? And so that's what I do. That's kind of my approach to each one of the mortgage, and usually they'll know, who works with first-time home buyers, and they'll put me in contact with that person. And if you get somebody that's personable and wants to work with you and is willing to pre-screen your tenant buyers after you've done the initial pre-screening, what I usually do with the mortgage brokers, I say, well, listen, I'm not going to be sending you a whole bunch of non-qualified people. What I need to know is what kind of information can I legally ask them in order to kind of pre-screen them before I send them to you. So typically what I do is, I make sure that, if my average rent is $750 or $800 a month, I make sure that they make at least, 3 to 3.5 to 4 times that amount of the rent, so that I know I'm dealing with somebody that can qualify, that's gross income, that can qualify for one of my properties. And so, if I want to have them pre-qualified in advance before I show them a property, then I go ahead and forward those kind of people over to the mortgage broker to get an idea of what they can buy. The other way I do it is, when we hold presentations during the week, if we have a Wednesday, we're holding a property open house, or Sunday, then, the people that are interested in the house, I have them fill out a rental application, and then I get their permission to send the rental application to the mortgage broker. and then recommend that they follow up with a mortgage broker to get pre-qualified from them. And the rental application gives the mortgage broker a heads up and a head start on who they are and what their situation is. So that's kind of the way we handle it, Gil. But to summarize, anytime you're talking to any kind of vendor in the real estate business, and you build up a rapport with them, ask them for lists of all the other vendors that they use in the industry, and pretty soon you're going to start having the same names come up over and over again. But it'll build all your lists quickly by simply asking that question. Back to you, Gil.
Hey Lilia, let me know if that addressed your question, or if that's enough for you to be able to start calling around and talking to a couple of mortgage brokers, or at least start getting referrals. I'm not okay. She says thank you kindly. Yeah, let us know what process you're at. Also, do check into group coaching. Let Steve know so that they can analyze this particular lead and take a closer look at it, so that we can distinguish if, hey, you know what, there's a good deal here. You got a tenant buyer, makes 4 times the amount. They have X amount set aside. They're already in credit repair. Submit that for review in the group coaching, so that we'll get a better idea. Yeah. Again, yeah, just trying to determine if, hey, if this is enough action to simply start calling some brokers to find out, what they look for, start building some relationships, or if we can escalate it a few steps forward and start running applications and moving the tenant buyer formally, collecting the option deposit. Correct. All right. Maria, we plan on not answering the phone directly, but transferring it to, that's okay. I mean, I know you guys are busy. You guys do make calls throughout the day. You also do some, you place some ads on Craigslist. So if you can't take the calls live, not a big deal. Focus your budget towards lead generation. Take those calls whenever you can take them. What you don't want to happen is to have the leads sit around for over 24 hours without being contacted. That's what you want to avoid. Where can you find the tenant buyer application? It should be in the docs section inside of the group, or if you email Steve or get that into group coaching, they'll get you a copy of a generic tenant buyer application. Right. So yeah, you could even use the tenant buyer application as a pre-screening, or again, gain more insight as to how serious they are and what their financial picture would look like. Right. Correct. I don't drop everything and focus 100% on the lead. We try to dig more information so that we know how to process and handle it, work with the lead. Some are ready to move forward fairly quickly, although some are good tenant buyer candidates, money to put down, safe, stable employment position over the last couple of years. They're looking to start a family in the area, but they want to move during Christmas, right? So that throws it off a little bit, and so now the time frame becomes an issue. But again, we will only find that out as we continue to pre-screen them. Awesome. Thank you, Cecilia. All right, so no other questions are popping up. I will go through some of those that were emailed in over the weekend and posted on our sites so that we can tackle some of those scenarios live on the session. If we have some direct mail, if you committed to launching some direct mail in the last couple weeks, they are going to be mailed and sent today and throughout this week. We didn't want it to drop right on the same 4th of July weekend and compete with all the other events going on, right? So we'll catch you guys first thing tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and have a great day, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you have a rockin' start here to your week. Bye-bye.